Hi, I'm Liz. I collect strange, weird and wonderful and interesting things. This is my cabinet of curiosities, or part of it, which is on the back wall of my living room, so anyone who comes in can see it. It's got all sorts of things. I'm particularly interested in like original vintage postcards of things like sideshows. I like natural history. I've got some butterflies, I've got some moths, I've got some duck eggs and quail eggs. I've got a little wasp's nest just down to the right. That's that grey ball that's in the little box. I also really like historical things. I've got a degree in classics and archaeology, so I'm well into that. And I've got all sorts of amulets as well. Like on the top left, there's a frame that's got 3 little compartments, and there's a big one with a little amulet in the bottom. That one is a lapis lazuli carving of the ancient Egyptian goddess of war, Sekhmet. The central coffin thing has got all sorts of things in. It's got an original Celtic ring. It's got a Scythian arrowhead. It's got a piece of meteorite. It's got some dinosaur teeth and bits. It's got some pottery. And it's also got one of my absolute favourites, which is my Roman bone dice. So I'm going to get them out, have a little talk about them. Okay, right, so these, just to try and get it so you can actually see, they're pieces of bone which have been engraved with numbers on them. They're completely irregular in shape. This is because they were carved by soldiers who were stationed at the garrison on on Hadrian's Wall in the UK. One of the reasons that they're such a peculiar shape is because these would have been made from leftovers, basically. So they'd have had a meal and then thought, here's something to while away the time. First of all, making these, they would have probably whittled them with a knife of some description or a dagger. And then once they'd been made, they could then play with them. They could gamble. It's just something to do, really. Okay, now, when I got hold of these, I got them for my birthday, and it came with some information, and it said that these came from Hadrian's Wall in the UK. Now, this is quite interesting because it helps me date them a little bit in terms of figuring out how old they are and when they were made. So Hadrian's Wall, obviously it was constructed after the conquest of Britain by the Romans. It took them a couple of goes, actually. Julius Caesar invaded the first time, didn't get very far. Invaded the second time in the early 1st century BC, I think, and then managed to gain a foothold. So Hadrian's Wall was constructed, or construction started around 120 AD, which means that these would be just shy of 2,000 years old if these were made exactly then. However, they wouldn't have been. I'd be very surprised if they were. As soldiers would be garrisoned across the wall during, not so much the time of active war, I suppose, but kind of guarding the borders. A lot of it was political as well, because part of the aim was to teach the Picts and the Scots and the ancient Britons of the time that lived in Caledonia, that they were very much a force to be reckoned with, and that they were there. It was political, and it was kind of like propaganda as much as it was anything else. I believe the Romans left Britain in around 400 BC. So this gives us a dating period of between maybe 120, 400, 430. So I can safely say that these are at least 1,500 years old. That's based simply on the context. That's the best way that archaeologists can date things if they're not like carbon dating. Knowing that these were excavated along Hadrian's Wall, knowing when the Roman conquest happened, knowing when the Roman withdrawal happened, and knowing when Hadrian's Wall was constructed, gives a vague time scale of a few hundred years, which is when these little babies would have been carved, played with, and then probably either thrown away or lost, buried, and then someone excavates them, cleans them up, sells them on after they've been verified and the provenance has been confirmed, and then some lucky collector like me gets hold of them. So I display these pretty proudly in my living room. They live in here, in my little shelf. They're one of my absolute favourites, one of my favourite curiosities, because I really like things that were useful once but aren't so much anymore. Things that had a use but have now stopped being useful, apart from to people like me who find them very interesting, and of course anyone else who finds them interesting too. So that's my Roman dice. Hopefully it's historically accurate. This is kind of based on my university knowledge, which I haven't been to uni for about 10 years, more than 10 years, actually 12 years. So I could be wrong. If there's any archaeologists out there who want to tell me that I'm wrong and give me some info to update me, then that's absolutely fine. I totally get that. But yeah, so those are my Roman dice. And I think I will do another short film in the future about another item in my cabinet of curiosities. Thank you. Bye.